Session. Alright, we are back. I'm here with DMT Goobz and commentator Helix with Super Monkey Ball Invasion. Why don't someone introduce the run, and then when you're ready, give me a countdown.
Okay. Hello and welcome. This is Super Monkey Ball Invasion, a pack created by Scrap651. It is a super fun pack. It is super incredible. There's lots of very cool like ideas and stuff. The original name was supposed to be Idea Invasion, and there's so many cool things about the pack. This is my commentator Helix. They're incredible.
Hey, that's me. I'm Helix. I run so many Monkey Ball things, including this level pack. It's an absolute blast, fantastic run. Goobz wasn't lying. There are a lot of really unique and awesome levels here, and you will be delighted to see Goobz absolutely destroy them.
Yes. So
Alright, you can give me a countdown when you're ready.
On go. 5,
Yep.
4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
The first thing you're going to see Goobz do here is move diagonally. Super Monkey Ball pulls inputs in a square, so diagonal inputs are strongest, meaning we accelerate faster when we use them. That's a very core movement mechanic used pretty much everywhere. You can also do it in the air, which is known as air boosting, and when you're air boosting you also fall a little bit more slowly, so that'll be useful in some spots. You're also going to see some very important menuing. Goobz will be retrying at the beginning of every stage, and then stage selecting after every stage, and this just skips some animations and saves multiple minutes throughout the course of the run. Very, very important. So those are the two biggest things to know about this run.
Yeah.
You're also going to see, this actually is a great example. This first platform here is a seesaw, and then the platform right after is going to be an anti-seesaw. So you would normally expect a seesaw to move down when Goobz is on the side, but anti-seesaws will they work the opposite of what you would expect, so Goobz moved up while on the side. I don't know if you had anything to say, Goobz.
No, this is good. Yeah, there's a very heavy use of seesaws throughout the run, basically, and especially anti-seesaws too. It's basically like a seesaw, but you travel upwards, it goes the wrong direction. That's why it's called anti.
There on Semi-Solid Maze, there were some one-way walls, which is pretty neat.
There's actually
lane switching introduces ice, so to speak. As you can see, Goobz got a little. There was a lot less friction when Goobz was on the ice, and so that helped Goobz build a lot of speed. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, it's good.
We did not practice commentary, so this is
very tough. But here on this stage, there's actually a wire that I kind of decided not to take because it's pretty difficult to take fast.
It's very risky to do, yeah.
Only saves a little bit of time, but could have done it for the swag. But it's a very cool stage. It's basically a lot of these stages in this pack allow for room for there's a lot of extra wires that are quicker and stuff, and a lot of extra wires or extra I guess challenges that add more bunches or bananas or extra goals and stuff.
Yep.
So there's
got some invisible floors here as well. The pattern on the wall was the cue as to what the stage was doing, basically. That's how Goobz knew where he was.
this. Here on this stage mini puzzle, there's actually you're supposed to tilt this seesaw. It's a wall.
I didn't know about that strat.
You can actually skip across. It's a very nice clip.
Yeah, that was basically a seesaw tilted on its side. Obviously you didn't see Goobz use it at all, but that's what that was. More ice here. On Dismantled Pedestal, you are seeing conveyors, which is pretty neat. These will sort of carry Goobz up the slope. Another big thing that you see in this game is jump pads, which will become more prevalent in some stages.
Yes. And in this stage on Capsule, we can actually use the like glass walls that pop up to just skip across the middle section. Which
That was awesome. I normally pause buffer that, and you just did it pauseless. Yeah, notably, there are some very good pause strats. This game is entirely deterministic, so if you pause on a specific frame and perform a specific input, if you always repeat the exact same inputs, you'll always get the same result. And so pauses use the in-game timer and then the notches in the game controller to essentially be a task, but Goobz isn't going to be doing any of that.
yes,
Because Goobz is goated like that.
there's a lot of very
Completely pauseless movement.
I didn't take the time, unfortunately, to learn the pause run for but there'll still be plenty of cool pause list strats that we can do without the use of pause buffering. Pause buffering is very cool.
Summit, great example of jump pads there,
Yes.
or bounce pads, or whatever you want to call them. Springs, even.
Now here on house hopping, there's actually a secret red goal. I won't spoil where it is because it's very
Oh, I remember finding this one on stream. It took a while.
very difficult. I don't think I'm gonna make it. Nope. Okay. Just barely didn't get enough distance.
Yeah, this one can be a little tricky.
Mm. Here we go. And nice. Here we have probably like my favorite world.
This is one of the coolest worlds for sure.
Yeah. The background is like a PNG. I don't know if it's a PNG or like what it is, but it's very cool. It's like a jungle background, and the music is very sick too. Like it just fits so well together, and I think it is quite incredible.
I'm interested to see what strat you do here on Crown.
Doing the actually skipped
Yes.
across. Take 2 bounces.
This is
down.
my strat. You might have found this independently, but I was so satisfied when I found that.
No.
Beautiful bounce there in Jungle Gym. Good stuff.
Yes. Now here is one of very cool stages. We actually skip across it, but the ground underneath the water, we can actually use it because it's actually ice, or it's which is basically just like a conveyor pointed upwards. And what that basically allows us to do is to get slightly more air on the ground when like moving, and that actually accelerates us a lot faster. So we can actually
Yeah, it decreases friction, which is a super smart way to create ice in this game, which it's not a feature that this game natively used, so it's very creative.
yes.
Same deal with jump pads, actually. I believe they're just very strong upwards conveyors. Don't quote me on that, but that's another mechanic that is not natively in the game, so just really creative stuff from Scrap here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scrap, the designer of this pack. This is actually Scrap's second full pack, I believe, after Super Monkey Ball 651.
That pack is also very incredible, and
Yes, it is.
I highly recommend checking it out if you get the chance.
This level, sub-levels, is essentially a blind maze. Of course, Goobz knows exactly where to go. No worries there. You're just getting to see some good movement. This pack I've found to be very ground movement heavy. I feel like ground movement and air movement are two very separate skill sets in this game, and I would say that this one tests ground movement a lot more. Not that it doesn't test air movement, it does, but ground movement is more important in my opinion in playing these sets of stages.
Definitely agree, and like especially in like in the later worlds, or like especially World 10, there's a lot of ground movement stages.
Yes.
That can take the time to optimize, but can also die on.
Oh, this stage is sick. Check this out.
Yes. So actually, these one-way walls are slightly slanted. So we're actually going through a one-way wall, hitting a bounce pad, then hitting the back side of the one-way wall. So we go through it first time, but then we actually hit the wall on the second time, and that allows us to get slightly launched and basically play golf in Monkey Ball. Which
it's awesome. Such a cool stage.
Very cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get to practice much, so I didn't learn the
You didn't learn my strat. It's okay. I found a strat literally like last night on the stage. It saves like a second.
I can't believe. Or sorry.
you just catch an early cycle is all.
I can't believe that was last night. For me, it's still
Because you haven't slept yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like 5 in the morning for you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. At least if you're in the Americas, thank you all for joining us this early.
Yes, it is.
I have to say, huge shout out to Scrap because this background caused me quite a bit of motion sickness.
Oh wait, I forgot to. Don't look at the background if you.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything until the end of this world, but motion sickness warning, I guess. But Scrap did make a version of this pack that basically removes this background just to sort of ease that a bit, and I really appreciate that. That's a huge accessibility thing. It's a huge shout out to Scrap for doing that.
To that. And here, what is it? On the stage filter, there's actually as we press this button, the wire gets thinner every single time, and there's actually a red goal, which we often use when like measuring wire length. The like 1.0 being the unit of the ball length, so like a 1.0 wire be as wide as like the ball is. And that wire I think gets as thin as 0.1 of the ball length to get the red goal. Fortunately, don't.
Which is very hard for those who don't know.
Yes. Fortunately, we just have to take the blue goal here because it's only the goal that's fastest. But
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter the color of goal you take in story mode. We just go to the fastest one. Also, that stage lifts has one of the biggest differences between pauseless and paused gameplay. You can do a triple frame perfect pause strat on the last stage, where you pretty much escape the stage and skip the entire thing and just drop to the bottom. It's absolutely wild.
And real quick, there on the stage vector, there's actually an anti-gravity floor, which I don't know how it was created. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, same.
Doesn't make sense, but we can actually stick to the top of the ground there and go into the goal.
Yeah, you had a very smooth goal entry on that. That is not necessarily intuitive at all. This stage delayed reaction, and the stage is going to push Goobz up into the air 5 seconds after he hits a button. So there's some neat routing around that fact. I gotta learn this strat. It's a little bit faster than what I do.
Very difficult. I've like lost like minutes to it before.
Oh gosh.
Now here on the stage gamble. Oh, wait, I think. No, okay.
Oh, you got owned. You got so owned by the stage. That's a perfect example of the stage's whole gimmick in that the bounce height you get is essentially random on gamble. Goobz tried to do a specific setup, but messed it up just a tad, and then just got completely owned at the end by not getting a good enough bounce. You go for this pauseless. That is absurd. That's so cool. That's so cool.
No.
Oh, hit the goal.
I think this is basically like a couple of frame ranges that
Yeah.
we can get smacked into this thing right here.
Yeah, so this isn't necessarily a frame perfect strat, but it's close to it. This is another one that I personally pause for safety. There you go. Awesome stuff. That's such a sick strat.
Awesome. And here on this stage, this is a good example of the like extra goals that are available. There's if you get just enough speed, which is very difficult to do, what is it? You can go to the red goal there, which is very difficult.
Yeah, you might not have even seen it. It's all the way up at the top of the stage. You need to get so much speed to get enough height for that.
Yes.
Those are basically anti-seesaws that have been tilted on their side there. But if you touch the very edge of them on personal space, you just get flung off the level. So Goobz had to be very careful there with his movement.
Yes. And actually the IL, or like the individual, basically like the fastest time on that stage that has been done, uses one of the bumper thingies to just get smacked into the goal at like...
Yeah, it's awesome. I have been trying to find a pause strat that replicates that, but have not had any luck yet.
That is awesome.
So here on Sky Trampolines, the yellow bounce pad will bounce Goobz much higher than the blue bounce pad. So there's some fun routing potential there.
Yes.
This is a neat little stage. This is another really fun world in my opinion. Some fun strats here.
What 5 also has like it feels like you're in the sky, basically.
Yeah. So Goobz is basically sticking to the ceiling here. That's not exactly what's happening, but that's the effect that is created.
Yes. Is it a conveyor that like... I'm not sure how that's doable.
I don't know either. I'm not gonna like pretend to know. I don't want to spread misinformation. There might be someone in chat who knows. Funny hold up setup here on triple flipper thread.
Yes. And that's another good example of like the deterministic physics.
Yes.
Is that basically if I hold up there, I will get the exact same like outcome like every single time basically.
Yes.
Which is very handy.
Nice goal dunk. That's not easy.
It is very difficult. Here,
Too many wires. Yeah, this is an example of a stage where there's a lot happening, but the blue goal is right there, so we don't really play any of it.
Yeah. This is also one of my favorite stages, just to play like quickly.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. Oh, I should point out that the Goobz still is the RTA and pause timers up, which is funny to me. But the input display is also a native feature of the practice ROM that Goobz has on right now. So shout out to Complex Plane for creating a very expansive practice mod for this game. It's an extremely useful tool. Not only does it have this built-in input display, but it has so many features. It has that little pause timer, so you can check exactly how long your pauses are taking, which is huge. Lots of features. There's like too much to go over right now.
Yeah, I think without the practice mod, the practice mod is like, it's so helpful. Like, like half of these strats probably wouldn't have been like found without like save states and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing it has is save states, which is incredible. You
Yeah.
can play this on hardware with save states due to the practice ROM. It is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
I can play this on a real Wii and have save states. No emulator required.
It's incredible. And it's not like the Monkey Ball practice mode is very it's pretty good for
It's ahead of its time. This game was released in 2002 and it has one of the best practice modes I've ever seen.
yes.
It's ahead of its time. It's amazing. This practice ROM only makes it even better.
Yes.
Also, yeah, you can totally just get on this wall and like not play the stage, which I find very funny.
And sorry if the stream is buffering a little bit. Not really sure what's happening, I'm gonna be honest. But
Too early for your internet as well.
probably internet's still waking up a little bit.
Definitely encourage you all to just check out the Super Monkey Ball modding scene in general. There are so many quality custom level packs in addition to this one.
Yes.
I mean, as you've seen, it's awesome that Fangame Marathon took so many for this marathon. You love to see it.
Yes. I think there's a very helpful Discord that has like a bunch of people who are willing to like answer questions and like lots to talk about like modding in general, and like a huge directory of like all the packs that have been released. After this run, I will link the Discord there for like the modding scene. But if you are interested in Monkey Ball ROM hacks in general, I would highly recommend giving that a check out.
Oh, remember anti-seesaws, by the way? This has a lot of them. The stage is entirely anti-seesaws. I have a ridiculous strat on this level.
Yes, it's so fast.
It's really hard. I don't blame you for not doing it. Speaking of hard levels, this one's pretty difficult too. Goobz is moving very fast along with the level. You can see the miles per hour in the bottom bottom left. Had to make sure I didn't get my lefts and rights mixed up. And that makes this movement very challenging, especially because you can't really... The camera does you no favors here, especially in this section. So I will shut up and let Goobz play.
This section, you have to take it very slow because you have a decent amount of time to make it in order to the goal. But you can't actually see what's behind you, so you have to just wait until you actually just like see the platform in front of you.
I like how I'm like, I'll shut up and let you play, and then you just start talking during like a really hard sequence. What a Chad. Goobz is so good at this game.
No.
Goalpost bonk. See a question in chat. Are there beginner Monkey Ball ROM hacks? There are like a few, and the first few worlds of almost every ROM hack are geared toward newer players. But yeah, most of the level packs do get pretty difficult. Definitely harder than the base game, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely recommend like playing the base game first before. But I mean, I think there's also some all of the community packs are maybe until you get to like master mode, but are all like on the friendlier side, or like.
Yeah, I would mostly agree with that.
And I think also very after like Monkey Ball or like after playing like the main game, I think Monkey Ball 2 is a very good like
Yes. Good
But-
shout.
but it's still or Invasion even too. Invasion um it's still very hard. But
It's one of the easier packs out there. It is way easier than Scrap's first pack,
Yes.
Monkey Ball 651. But it is still a bit difficult.
you'll actually see a reference in World 10, I think, the first stage to the older pack 651, which I thought was very funny, but we'll point it out.
We have not talked about the music.
Oh
The
yes,
music
yes,
here,
yes.
this is an entirely original soundtrack composed by Jim Nopetti. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I think that's so cool that someone just like straight up composed a soundtrack for this ROM hack. It's awesome.
Yes. Like
you can find the music yourself on YouTube too if you look up Jim Nopetti. That is Jim Nopedie. There's like an accent on the E, the first E, I believe. Sorry, I don't know if you're gonna say anything, Goobz.
no. Good.
That's a really tricky stage because you cannot bounce twice on the bounce pads. Can't bounce twice in a row. If you do, you will get too much height and hit that fallout plane at the top.
It's just
Clean movement there on Energy Halo. You love to see it. This strat is so cool.
This strat is awesome. This is like one of my favorites.
Me too.
You can go underneath that platform there, or underneath one of the platforms and get bounced up by one of the bounce pads there, and just go straight to the goal.
You even got the goal dunk.
Yes,
Good
it
stuff.
Very nice. This is also.
Goobz is,
Oh, sorry.
Goobz is intentionally going for clips here on the side of the stage, as you can see, just to build some speed, get less frictional in the air. Good stuff. It's easy to go too fast on that level and actually get too much height at the end, and that would be really slow because you have to wait to fall. Oh, that's a really cool strat. I have not seen that.
Very cool.
Another pretty neat strat here. Goobz is going to go back just a little bit to build some speed, and then you can just sort of one-shot this entire level. Almost done with level 7. Now there are 5 drills here, so to speak, on the stage. Drills, but you don't actually need to play them all if you can do this wire.
I will be oh no. I will be taking my time trying to go across these wires because they're very thin. And
Luckily, there is kind of a nice queue.
no, maybe I need to take it quicker. Maybe.
Maybe. It's really easy, especially in marathons and on runs on good paces, to sort of overthink these wires and try to go a little bit too slowly and do something you're not quite comfy with. Something that happens to me a lot.
I'd say this is probably one of the harder stages in
I
the.
agree.
Wow.
Stressful for sure. Or maybe stressful more than hard, per se.
Yes. But next world coming up, I think is one of my favorites as well. There are a ton of cool stages and a really cool background.
Well done. Alright, Goobz isn't quite out of the woods yet. That was scary. That's so scary. Good stuff. Yeah, World 8 has so many cool levels.
And here, it's actually somewhat possible. It would be somewhat possible to skip a cycle here and go like go and like brush against like one of the moving platforms. But at the end, a platform will just come by and smack you, or not like the moving the ones that are like vertical and going to the right will like smack you if you try and do that. So we just have to unfortunately just wait it out a little bit on that green wire.
Yeah, there is actually a pause strat for that level too, which is, it's kind of silly. Get some more ice here. This is a really fun level. I love this stage.
The strat here, or sorry.
You can't go wrong with ice to build speed and then ramps. Yeah, Goobz.
The strat here is not that difficult, but it's after like 40 seconds of gameplay. So it is a little scary, because if you die, you lose a lot of time. But there you go.
Nice. That's a really hard goal entry, and Goobz just made it look super easy. That was awesome. That was so clean. We have very different strats here.
Yeah, I play this one very safe.
I understand. I definitely understand. My strat is, I don't know how reliable it is. I don't even know how I would describe my strat. It doesn't go around. I take it like a half pipe, sort of. And I don't always have the height I need at the end of the level.
Very cool though.
I love the texturing on the stage. It's very good.
This texturing is awesome. Very cool.
All around, honestly, yeah. This is a very well polished pack.
Here will be
From the music to the textures to the stages themselves, it all feels incredible.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, one too early.
Picked the wrong wire. Either that or it was just not quite fast enough to make a cycle that he can normally make.
There's
It's
also
a very punishing death too. Obviously, you know, the longer you spend on a stage, the more time you lose if you die.
yes.
I jinxed it. I gotta stop talking about dying.
No. But here, there's these cool like glass pane things that are moving across. I just think it's crazy that that's possible to get into a monkey ball game, but
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, good point. Like I said, the texturing in this game is so good.
yes. Please work? Yeah, we're good.
Nice. So Goobz has to not touch these walls, because if that happens, these bounce pads will send poor baby here flying into oblivion.
A good example of bounce pads, instead of like helping you in most cases, actually want to
They're used to create an obstacle. This will happen again in an upcoming level.
yes.
This one. This is a very similar concept in that these bounce pads here, these yellow bounce pads, are used as essentially a death zone. That's why it's called electric fence. Well done. That was solid movement. And this is an example of ice actually hurting you more than helping you. If you are on the ice too much, you will gain too much speed, and then you'll just fly over the goal at the end of the level. Good stuff.
Just as a heads up, another like kind of motion sickness warning on 8-10. That's coming up. I mean, I don't know how much motion sickness it might cause.
It has never been a problem for me. I honestly haven't thought about it, but it doesn't hurt to mention.
But it's actually another good example of an invisible stage, where there'll be like flashing lights that show like the path to the goal, or the path to the goal.
I don't get motion sickness on this one, but it does feel very weird.
Yes.
Just in general, it's a weird stage. Super cool concept. Messes with my brain so badly. Like, I can't take this even anywhere near as fast as you're taking it. Maybe I could with a lot of practice.
Gosh, my brain is like hurting from playing this right now.
Yeah, mine is too. My brain is hurting from watching this. And you nailed it. You made that look so easy. What the heck?
Now, very luckily, there's not a lot of stages in this pack that use collision, or like the strats that use collision. Oh shoot.
Oh yeah, because we haven't even mentioned that collision is not the most consistent thing ever in this game.
Yes.
Luckily, you don't have to deal with it too much.
Yes. But get across here. Another thing also to note too is that half the time when if I hold up at the beginning there, I will like just go straight across. Oh shoot. And the other time I won't, and that's because actually the stage will slightly move you based off rotating objects and the thing. So like, for example, if I were to hold just straight neutral, my controller, the monkey would actually start like drifting a little bit off the ground. It's very small, but it can affect you in like cases like that. We need to be somewhat precise.
More seesaws and anti-seesaws here. This is a really fun stage to optimize. I mean, most of them are, but this one in particular. Speaking of fun stages to optimize, this is a backwards moving conveyor, so it's constantly pushing you back, so you have to fight against that. And you have to make sure you are safe from these, I don't know what to call them, obstacles that'll push you through the floor. So you need to be in blue and yellow alternating spaces. Nice. We're back to the wire game again. Some more extremely thin wires here.
The lucky part about
Nice.
those wires is that they're not very long, so if you're like having to overcorrect or like not really gonna make it, you might still make it anyways, because you'll be like just arriving to the platform basically.
Beautiful swipe. I need to talk about that. That was so good. You did your setup perfectly and then got the perfect low hit off of that bounce pad. That was awesome. This is counterweight. This stage is like a seesaw that I don't even know exactly how to explain it. It's like you want to be sort of moving with the that translucent like wall, so to speak. If you're not, then the stage will tilt too much and you'll fall off. It's a really neat concept. And then this is Sneaky Steps. I can't believe you just did that strat.
No!
Oh, I didn't get the second part. Still. That strat's so hard. Oh my gosh.
No, we can actually...
Anyway.
Or Susan.
Sorry, you go on.
We can actually, use, like, or fall through one of the holes with a decently precise setup. As we're falling, basically. And it allows us to skip, like, 3 or 4 of these squares.
Yeah, normally you want to take this pretty slowly. You want to make sure you're centered on these squares when the wall passes you, otherwise you will get smacked and die. But that strat that Goobz did is ridiculous and very hard. There's a absurd pause strat for that stage too.
Yes.
This is a pretty neat stage. The shadows on the ground note where the weight will be. So Goobz just had to make sure to not be in one of those shadows when the weight was moving across the stage. This is another super cool level.
Yes. This and I think the stage coming up are like 2 of my favorite stages in the entire pack.
Honestly, yeah, they're both really fun.
This basically just got a bunch of cylinders. And you can just like zoom across.
Rolling a sphere on a cylinder is about as hard as you think it might be. So Goobz has to stay very well centered on these platforms, but if that's not enough, Goobz is going extremely fast. You can see the miles per hour counter in the bottom left, you know, hovering around 150.
There we go.
And this level is absolutely phenomenal. You're going to see Goobz go through these holes, but that's not the whole stage. Goobz is going to hit a massive bounce pad at the bottom and then have to do the whole thing in reverse to have enough height to get into the goal at the end of the stage. Luckily there are these cues here with these colored lines. Very, very helpful. Absolutely necessary, honestly, otherwise this would be super hard. And first try, good stuff. That is not an easy level.
Nice.
And we are into the final world.
Now,
This Super Monkey Ball Invasion.
this is the first stage. It's called difficulty spikes. And it what is it? It's a somewhat difficult stage with a lot of spikes. But the older pack that Scrap made 651, World 10 was notorious for being very difficult and significantly harder than the rest of the pack, basically.
It was so notorious that there was a running list of everybody who had even beaten World 10. I don't know if people still keep track, but last I saw it was at like 30-ish players
Yes.
who had ever beaten World 10.
Which, very cool. Luckily, World 10 in this pack is nowhere near the same difficulty.
Yeah. I mean, people do still speedrun 651.
Yes.
Like, it is absolutely possible to speedrun even with the absurd difficulty. You'd be... The incredible skill on display from Super Monkey Ball runners will always amaze me, and I'm one of them, and it still amazes me. That was a really risky ending you did there. It's the return of wires here on proportional editing. Lots of them all in a row.
This stage is very long, and there's lots of room to take these wires like super fast. I'm not going to be taking them like as fast as possible, but at least gonna try and taking them like somewhat fast. But it can be very scary because the stage is very long and deaths are very costly.
And very late in the run as well.
Yes. I'm cruising along. I'm gonna take a little slower than I usually.
Yeah, I mean, no harm, no foul. First try, excellent stuff. You would love to see it. This is such a unique stage. This one's so cool. If you are on the conveyor here, it pushes you back very forcefully. And so the whole gimmick of the stage is to avoid the conveyor as much as possible. So you want to be on the parts of the stage that are not moving. And Goobz is making this look absurdly easy. Wow, that was awesome. I've never seen anyone take that level that fast.
Amazing. Yeah, I don't think I've taken it that fast like ever before. But...
You were so confident. That was so cool. And this is a really unique gimmick here on front and back. I don't know how I would describe it, but I haven't really seen anyone else do this. Though I'm not as well versed in custom levels as some other people are. I've played my fair share, but there are just so many custom level packs out there now.
Yes.
Gotta dodge these poles. I'm gonna take this level as an opportunity to shout something out so I don't have to waste time and do it after the run. I actually was very recently approved for a GDQ hotfix show, and the whole premise of that show is to show off community-created content, like everything you're seeing here on Fangame Marathon. I don't know, I thought that was very fitting to shout out. It's starting this upcoming Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's called Parallel Universe. Myself and Limey are the hosts, and I will actually be running this very level pack as the last round of our first episode. But I just thought it was a very fitting thing to shout out on this marathon because it is a very similar concept. We love to see fan games and custom level packs and etc. get their due showing.
Yes, yes. The custom level stuff is just incredible. It's crazy what people can do in like any game basically with like custom stuff. Like that's something that like you would think as a kid, like, oh, this would be so cool if like you can make like own stages and stuff. And then people actually like did in like a lot of games, like, which is just incredible. So like getting to see custom level stuff get the spotlight is very cool.
There's so much cool custom level stuff in so many games, and I feel like it's so often overlooked. So yes. I'm hoping that we can work to change that. Just as organizations like Fangame Marathon are doing. This stage is super cool, by the way. You might have noticed already, but every 4 seconds, Goobz will essentially teleport to the other side of the level. And so wherever there is not currently floor, there will be when Goobz teleports. It can be a very tricky level. Only 3 stages to go. Arbitrary restriction, these are one-way walls again, so Goobz has to be very careful not to go outside of the walls, otherwise it's essentially just death.
I'm gonna play this. Wait, like a little bit here.
Yeah, I respect it.
There we go. Didn't I think you found the shot, right? On Afterlife?
I think so, yeah.
Shot is very cool.
It's really fun too. Scary, but very fun.
Yes, it is. No.
Ah, close. This does skip like half of the level. It's pretty important. And then you can see the gimmick here is that you are constantly being moved up by these platforms, and if you go too high, you've reached the fallout barrier. So you need to constantly fall back down. Another super unique stage. This pack in general is just full of super unique stages that I haven't seen anybody else do.
Yes, it is.
And sensory overload, you can essentially determine how difficult you want this level to be. Each button you press there will do something to make the level harder, but it will also remove a thin wire at the end of the stage.
It's just...
And time will be when Goobz hits the gold hip.
I'll play this nice and slow. This ice, it can be very deceiving. You can get a lot more speed than, like, you'd expect. And so, it's very nice. I'm taking this wire. Also, very comfy. Moving along. And time.
Goobz, that was a ridiculous run. I hope you know that.
That is actually my PB.
Yeah, that's like a 51 something.
Yes. Which is very nice.
For reference, my PB is a 59. I don't know if your PB was still the 53 you had going into this, but...
I think it was.
Okay,
but...
so you destroyed your PB by over a minute.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. That's also a world record, I believe. I guess I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's a world record.
I think it is.
I'd be shocked if it isn't, honestly. That was so good. Great run.
But yeah. And that's Super Monkey Ball Invasion. This pack is awesome. I really recommend that, like, you play it if you are interested in Monkey Ball ROM hacks and stuff. This is super fun.
Yeah, big agree. Definitely check out the custom level community. Shout out to Scrap651 for this pack. Shout out to Jim No Petty for the music. You can find me at Helix13_ pretty much everywhere. And Goobz, where can these wonderful people find you?
Twitch.tv/DMT_Goobz.
Thanks so much for having so much Monkey Ball Fangame Marathon.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure to be on comms. Thanks for having me, Goobz.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Alright. Actually, do you perhaps have anything miscellaneous to show off for 20 minutes? Because we're way ahead of schedule right now.
Yeah, because you destroyed your estimate.
Trying to think. Yeah, my estimate. I made my estimate when I was like had like an hour time.
Your estimate was 115, and you just got a 51.
Yeah.
Might have some things.
There's so many punishing deaths you could take too. Like that's not necessarily a poor estimate. You just played so well. You played out of your mind at 5 in the morning. What are you?
Yeah,
You're so good.
Let's see. In terms of invasion, there isn't really what is it? There isn't really there's only the story mode.
Yeah, there are no more levels outside of this. I don't know if you have any other packs you can super quickly load up.
I might. Let me check. Gonna see.
I suppose it's hard because there's so many of them in this marathon as well.
Yes, yes.
You don't want to show off something that's going to be shown later.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff is being shown off already. I guess I could maybe play some 651, maybe.
651. I don't think we have that in the marathon. I can check.
Okay.
I don't think that's in either.
Nope, it's not in.
That's a good
Sweet,
showcase.
sweet.
Yeah. This is Scrap's first pack that we were talking about, so that's actually really, really fitting. 651 also has music by Jim Petty, I believe.
Yes, yes. No, Jim No Petty, is like super talented, or super, like the music they make is incredible.
Absolutely. Oh, we could have shown off some practice mod features too.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that until just now.
So I guess I'll just go to we'll just go to World 10.
Yeah, show people how absurd World 10 is.
But real quick, normally there's this very long stage, but in one of the practice mode features, there's actually something called the jump mod.
Yes! Yes, jump mod!
If I can find it.
I don't think it's in tools, it's in gameplay mods.
Oh, see. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can actually jump.
Yep. It's very silly. Complex Plane made this, I think, pretty much entirely from scratch. So, just another thing we need to shout out Complex Plane for. Absolute legend. Also, the Monkey Ball Workshop Discord, the Level Workshop Discord, was just linked in the chat by limga_SSB. Go check it out.
Yes. I don't think I have time for a run, unfortunately. But,
No,
You have
definitely not.
20 minutes, Shane.
but we can do some World 10 stuff, which this might take a little bit. I haven't played these levels. Oh wait, let me turn off the jump mod real quick.
If you beat World 10 in 20 minutes, with, like, not having played them in ages, that would be ridiculous. World 10, the entirety of World 10 took me, I think, 3 or 4 hours to beat the first time I played it.
Yeah.
Which, this is me, a really experienced player. And even that was, like, quick by most standards. It takes most people a lot longer than that, even.
I think the first time it took me at least like 10 hours. Like,
Yeah, if I had played it when it came out, it would have taken me probably longer than that, even. Probably would take me like 12. I waited a while. I built up some skill first.
well, that's to Ike651 and well, really anyone who speedruns this pack.
I guess I'm you mean.
Or Ike, yeah, Ike SMV.
One, the Scrap and Ike fusion.
And also Eddie was able to complete this World 10 in like under 5 minutes, or no, not under. It's either under 7 minutes or under 6 minutes. I can't remember.
I don't know, but either way, that's unbelievable. I mean, Ike Ike and Eddie are both, they're supremely talented, especially at like really difficult levels.
Yes.
There's a level pack called Supernova created by Nambo.
Oh,
which is
yes.
specifically meant to be like the hardest level pack. It's only 10 stages, but they are all Kaizo level difficulty, and I don't mean like Kaizo level like difficult. It's been known to Kaizo has kind of become just like difficult levels. No, it's like actually Kaizo, like super hard. I myself have only beaten like 3 or 4 of them ever.
Yes.
And Eddie has been playing Supernova and has managed to do like, I think 8 or 9 stages deathless in a row. And these are like the hardest levels ever created. Like, what the heck? The upper tier of skill in Monkey Ball, it keeps being pushed, and it is just so ridiculous. And it appeared earlier in the marathon, I'm hearing. So there you go.
Yes. I highly recommend checking out that run if possible.
You really should.
Yes. But if 651 World 10 is like super difficult and like way harder than Invasion, then Supernova is probably a bigger jump from like 655 World 110 to Invasion, for example. Like it is. I think only 3 people have beaten the entire thing, or I want to say 3 or 2. No, I think 3.
Something like that.
Crazy.
Nicely, Copper, good stuff.
Thank you.
The difficulty on Smile here is not only all the corner transfers, but also beating the stage in the allotted time. I think this level pack was made before we knew how to increase the timer. And so I think everything has just like the regular time limit. I could be wrong on that.
I think that makes sense.
But it's used in a pretty creative way here, honestly, just to make the stage more difficult. So your movement has to be very good. You have to go all the way to the end, hit the button, and then go all the way back. I like to boast on this level that I have played it twice and beat it both times. I've never died at the stage.
Yeah.
And if I never play it again, then I never will.
Here is a big ol' auto scroller, which is also very difficult too.
One's really hard for me, yeah.
Kind of have to stay on top of this this crank for a while. But once you get used to it, it becomes a lot easier. But like, it's still very tough to learn.
Well, my commentary was decent for 7 a.m. I'm
Yeah.
never up this early. just a random thought I had. You just first tried Crank. What the heck, Goobz? When's the last time you've played this ROM hack?
I think like, I want to say like, okay, that. No, that's probably the hardest. Or it's not. No. It's probably. I'd say it's the hardest to complete in like a speedrun setting. The deaths are very quick. So it's not like the hardest run or hardest stage in the run, but I'd say probably the hardest to complete, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I struggled more with Antlers personally, but the stage is definitely up there, especially if you do the quote-unquote intended route where you also balance on the very middle platform. That one is just stupid difficult. There's a reason Goobz is essentially skipping it. It's way easier to skip it than to try to take it normally.
Yeah, basically like, I'm not like doing this like strat for like speed. I'm doing this because it's probably the easiest way how to beat the stage.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Line up real quick. This and Antlers are definitely like, and maybe even Unlock to hope I'll be able to.
Yeah. Yeah. The big three.
Hope I'll be able to get this in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you can do it for sure.
There we go.
Nice. Well done. So here's unlock. This one is ridiculous. You need to hit all these buttons and you need to be very quick about it so you can make the cycles. Your transfers need to be really clean. It's very tough. There is a pause strat for this stage, but it's like 7 or 8 frames or something really silly like that.
Yeah, it is. It might be just as difficult as like playing the stage normally. I mean, probably. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that, but it is silly.
Yeah.
And like, if you're doing it in a run, it's definitely not as reliable as you need it to be. Most people play this ROM hack pauseless though. Speedruns of this are done almost always pauseless. Something that's very prevalent in this pack, as well as Invasion, is just really unique stages. Scrap clearly has a very good mind for this game. And also, I don't know if you've ever seen any of Scrap's ILs, but Scrap is a very prolific ILer in this community. Has lots of individual level world records, even in the vanilla games.
Yes.
Some absolutely ridiculous stuff.
This stuff is just absolutely absurd. Like some of it just like some of the records and stuff just doesn't make sense. Like I could play it for like 100 hours and just like not be close to some of the like times.
So not only is Scrap a really talented and creative level creator, but a really skilled individual level player.
Yes, thanks.
And by the way, if you want to make levels, it is not as hard as you might think. If you have any Blender experience, you are already well on your way. And if you don't have Blender experience, it is not that hard to learn, honestly.
It can get a little complicated when trying to do like all like the big fancy stuff, like the custom code and stuff. But if you just want to get into like creating levels, like levels like these and stuff, it is definitely very easy. Not like extremely easy to get into, but it is definitely like it's super fun. Like
it's easier than you might think, yeah.
Yes, it's not like you don't have to be some like savant or anything.
No, you don't have to be a math major.
Yes. No, that was final.
Like, I can use Blender, for example.
And there's plenty of like guides and stuff like that, and people willing to like explain stuff and help out a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
that Discord that was linked, the Level Workshop Discord, is full of really helpful people. And some guides and such.
Mhm.
There's also like, there are like level jams where people will specifically create levels centered around like a theme. And it's just like a project that the community does, and then they're all thrown into a level pack.
Yeah, those are very cool. I think there's a new one that like just released, and also one that's in the works right now, like Level Jam Season 6, I want to say. Which
I wouldn't know. I don't keep up as much as I should with the custom stuff. I hear about the major pack releases and then I go play them. Nice, you beat unlock. Good stuff.
Go.
That's so hard. This is frame windows. You need to pause the stage at exactly the right time.
Also interesting to note too, in the vanilla game, I could be wrong slightly, but I think doesn't Labyrinth use the SMB1 cam or something?
Sort of. It uses. It's very weird in that the camera is lower than usual, and it does look a bit like the Monkey Ball 1 camera. Yeah.
So in this stage, like particularly, it's like slightly different because like Labyrinth was like 10-6 in vanilla, so like in this it's like slightly different.
Yeah, I don't think it's exactly the Monkey Ball 1 camera, because I think the Monkey Ball 1 camera turns more quickly. I would know this because I speedrun a lot of Monkey Ball 1. But it's definitely more similar than it usually is. I don't remember desync well enough to explain it,
I think that
it's not that bad.
yeah,
It's one of the easier World 10 stages. That's not to call it easy, but it's not that bad.
yes. Here's one we don't really play intended, or I think it might be intended. Playing the stage
Don't ask me.
playing the stages with like the wires is incredibly difficult. Like I don't think it's ever been done before. Or I could be wrong on that. I'm not entirely too sure.
That strikes me as something that like Ike or Eddie would have done for fun one day.
Yes.
But you might be right. I don't know.
Here we go. I think custom coding is a lot of it is just using vanilla assets to like
Oh, your capture was frozen when you beat Exam 651.
No.
That's funny. That's okay. That happens.
Need a new capture card.
At least it was frozen on my end.
I was gonna get one, but it's gonna show up from like 4 to 8, and it's like 6:30 like my time. So.
Oh, it came through on stream. Okay, they saw this. They saw the ending.
Let's go. But for custom coding, a lot of it is just using vanilla assets, but there is. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot how to do this level. I think this is right. Yeah, this is right. But there is some aspects of custom coding, and that's 651 World 10.
And there's 651 World 10 in under 16 minutes. Wow, that's super impressive. A rusty 651 World 10 beats every level in under 16 minutes. What the heck? At like 5 in the morning. You're so good, Goobz. That was awesome.
Right. I think we're good to move on at this point because we're pretty close to the schedule now.